Today I made my way to Havøysund, a small village in the far north of Norway in Måsøy municipality. And with me I have the municipal doctor Erik Prestgaard. Can you tell me a little bit more about this community?
Well, this is a small community in the very far north of Norway, in the Arctic region. There are about 1,100 inhabitants distributed on about 4 islands. This is the main island, Havøya. We are about 800 people here. The main industry is fishing, and I would say this is a typical Norwegian fishing village. They have experienced a significant demographic decline, declining populations, aging populations, which creates its own challenges.
Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like working as a doctor up here?
Yes, well, it's you're far from the big cities, you're far from the hospitals. We are just a few doctors here. We're 4 doctors, 2 doctors and 2 residents. You have to improvise a lot. Often the roads are closed. You have to be independent and often treat conditions that maybe we would admit to a hospital in a more urban setting.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the challenges you face regarding weather and distances up here?
Way up here, the winter is long. The winter starts, I would say, September, October, and it really goes through May. The winter is characterized of a lot of strong winds, snow, icy roads. The roads often closed due to the weather conditions, so we have to transport our patients to the hospital by sea or sometimes helicopter.
And you don't even see daylight during the winter time?
Yeah, I mean, it's way above the Arctic Circle, so from mid-November till mid-January, it's completely dark. The sun does not go above the horizon. Well, I shouldn't say it's completely dark. We have some beautiful colors,
yeah,
but it's very few hours of what you could call daylight. And while in the summer, it's the opposite. We have light all day, the midnight sun.
So Erik, how close is the nearest hospital and how do you get the patients there?
Well, close, I mean, it depends how you transport them, by car or by ambulance. On the road, about 2.5 hours in good weather conditions, somewhat more if it's winter. The boat takes maybe 1.5 hours. A helicopter, perhaps, half an hour maybe. So it all depends on the weather and how you transport the patients.
Yeah. And are those resources, the car ambulance, the boat and the helicopter always available, or do they have like weather constraints?
Yeah, well, I mean, the roads are often closed in the winter, so the cars cannot drive. Maybe the ambulance will be at the hospital delivering a patient or doing something else, and then it's not readily available. The boat could also be stationed in Hammerfest or another large city for repairs or on some kind of mission. Yeah, so you never know. So when you have a patient, you really have to think, okay, what resource do I have available? And from that, you can find a way to get your patient to the hospital.
Is there instances where you have a critically ill patient and are not able to transport them to the hospital and need to take care of them here locally?
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, usually find some way to get them to the hospital, but we often have to stabilize them here, give intravenous fluids, maybe antibiotics, start treatment, and then they hopefully can get them to the hospital at some point so they can take over. But yeah, you have to, it's not all load and go, it's a lot of stay and play in Havøysund.
You have quite broad duties here as a doctor. Can you tell me a little bit more about the qualifications and what your days look like up here?
Yeah, for sure. So we are general practitioners, family doctors, you could say. So because it basically our field is everything. We attend patients of all ages, all organs, any kind of problem. Even dental problems can show up at the office. So we have to be really broad. I think that's important. We're generalists. We're proud of that. Also, we live in the community. We engage with the community. We know the patient's background, which I think is immensely helpful when helping them.
As you talked about, it could be very helpful when you have a patient with an emergent problem. You know their background, you maybe been their general practitioner for a few years, but it's not all positives to be a doctor and also be living in such a small community where everyone around you is your patient.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's such a small community. Basically, all your potential friends are also your patients. That presents its own challenges. You really have to separate between being their doctor and being their neighbor, colleague, friend, whatever. So yeah, that's difficult, but I mean, but I think the population here is very used to it. They know that it's like that for everybody. Also, the teachers are, one day they're the teachers, the next day they're their friends. So So I think everybody is kind of used to that. And I'm not from here originally, so I've been here about a year. So I'm trying to kind of get used to that kind of way of working.
Yeah. Getting a little bit back to the emergency patients, what kind of resources do you have here in the community regarding ambulances and so on? Yeah,
so I mean, first we have an office, a doctor's office here. We have a laboratory. We can do blood tests. We can do sonography to a certain extent. We don't have an X-ray machine or anything like that. So that's that. And then of collaboration, we have an ambulance. There's always one ambulance with 2 ambulance workers. We have the boat, which can transport patients to Hammerfest. We also have a local emergency nurse. We also have a mental health team which we collaborate with.
Yeah. And what would your advice be to healthcare professionals who are curious about coming way up north and working in a rural area like Havøysund?
I would recommend anybody to do this. I really enjoy this work. I have trained in a hospital. I used to work in a hospital. That was great too, but I find that in that setting, I was more like a cog in a big system. Here, I feel like I can have more freedom in my job. It's more varied. I can sometimes be at the office, but I can also be out on the sea. I can be visiting people in their houses, the patients at their home. I see young children, old people. It's a great variation, which I enjoy a lot, which I think is very rewarding in this job. So I would say if you're curious about this, just try find at least you can have a short-term contract somewhere, just try it out, and maybe this was for you.